smaller than the rest of the boys. Me holding a big old sword next to Crixus, it's like, okay, it's not as believable. So for me, it just made more sense to go with speed and agility. So it's evade, slice, slice, evade, slice, slice, as opposed to, can you imagine if Bonner and I were running at each other and I have a sword and be like, ah! But if it's like, okay, you got me, oh no you don't, and now you're dead.
It kind of evolved because I was part of the training team too, so I would train the cast, and a lot of the boys were into hypertrophy training, so they just wanted to get as big as they wanted, like big as they could. They couldn't run from here to the end of the room. And they're having a heart attack. And Ellen was all into running, so she'd just go and run. And so I was like, Steve, just follow up. So I'd be doing these 14-kilometer runs with her, and we'd be chatting and everything like that. And it kind of evolved, and then we found out that we wasn't sure. I was kind of hoping the character would live on, but obviously, you know, after you kill one of man, it's like, what do you do next? You know, he's going to die. So it became this evolution of chatting and everything like that. And when we kind of chatted about her having the daggers, because that would be really cool, and grabbing stuff, and her character actually, it was a plot point that I don't know if it was really developed, but if you look closely during that season, her character's actually stealing stuff from, like she steals something from Viva's, like Alithia.
Lithia's costume in my hair. I was always stealing stuff, so for me, I'm like, I have these little surgical knives, and I see his daggers. I'm like, we asked Tonight, actually. Tonight is the creator of the show. We actually personally asked him, is it okay if I take the daggers off the Egyptians' dead hands on the bed?
So once he said yes, I went to the chippies on set, the set makers and everything like that, really good with wood, and I had them make a custom box and had them line it, and it fits the two daggers in it like that. So it's a wooden box that they made to look like in a Roman, that kind of era, and then just presented it to her on the last day. There's actually still a little bit of blood because my hands were covered in blood from being killed.
So romantic. Every girl's dream.
All right, I told you she'd answer for me.
So now we open up the floor to you guys. Who here has a question for them? Everyone just goes, I just think you're scared.
When are they going to make the movie? We want Spartacus the movie.
So wait.
It could be like
We could do, I was thinking like Spartacus, what is it, like a Walking Dead?
Yes.
We got like a Crixus just walking around holding his head. And
yeah, crispy critters for me.
Oh, yeah,
I wanted to ask Ellen, on those scenes where you're like jumping up and, you know, stabbing them in the necks with the knives, how realistic is that of what we see as to what you actually do?
New Zealand, they bury them.
No, I mean, you got that one scene, you run down and you jump up on that guy and you just start with the knives and you're just digging into his neck, and it just looks so incredible, but actually filming it.
Something that the stunt team was so incredible at is they wanted to know, what are your attributes? What are things that you're just naturally good at? Were you an athlete, et cetera, et cetera? And I was a long jumper. 17 and a half feet was my record, and I'm like, look, I'm like a little jumping bean. Let's utilize that, because, like I said, what I don't have in size, no matter what, if someone's running at you and jumps on you, just the inertia alone is gonna clock you over. And it's also, once again, working with the stuntie. I think the scene you're talking about is with a stuntie named Josh, who's built like a
His
brick.
name is Big Josh.
Yeah.
He makes all of us look small.
Yeah, he's a big boy. So
It's like 6'4", 240, 250. He's an MMA fighter in New Zealand. But he's a gentle giant, sweetest guy.
so sweet, but he still had to die.
But he'll kill you.
But even then, it's something that you obviously choreograph with them, and I usually find a bigger guy who's like me running at you no matter what. And it's trust. I trust that they're gonna catch me, and they trust I'm not gonna poke their eye out.
Yeah.
As you guys can see, it's pretty.
That's a lot of trust.
That's
Is it hard to do the acting with the green screen? So that, because I mean, you know, where you're doing this and you don't actually see what you're seeing on film.
No.
I just think it would be hard. I mean, I was trying to grab the idea of that.
Yeah, there's two elements of it. It's what we keep saying is phantom cam. And phantom cam is it 300 frames a second?
So a film normally is, a standard film is like 34, NTSC, when you're watching on television it's 30 frames a second. Those that aren't in the, so like 30 frames make up 1 second of shot. So a phantom cam is 300, it's anywhere between, getting between like 30 to 3,000 frames a second. We usually shot at about 300. So 1 second of footage, once you put it back to 30 frames a second, is now 10 seconds. So what happens in 1 second in real life, we can expand out to like 10 seconds. So.
But back to the trust aspect of it all is that, you know those scenes where it's so textbook Spartacus, where it's like, and it's like a slash and then blood. We would have what was called blood balloons. And let's say Baza is a Roman soldier that we wanted to decapitate. They would put a blood balloon right at the neck. So you would have 1, maybe 2 takes. They just give you 1 shot.
It's a water balloon filled with blood.
Yeah, and Jell-O and all that lovely gut-looking stuff. So you would be trusted to get super close to their neck, because on Phantom Cam, if you miss, it looks like a mile, and it looks like they're reacting. It's like, so you actually have to get super, super close. And it is, once again, just trust.
Yeah.
They trust that I'm not going to hurt them, and vice versa, if they're not going to try and beat me up if I do. But yeah, the green screen as well, if you guys want to talk about what it was like.
Well, isn't that the big thing with that? Well, we had sets, our physical set inside the green screen. It was so fantastic. We had, like City USA Ballet we had the whole place built for us. So regardless of what we had outside of that, what we had close to us to work with them was absolutely fantastic.
It gave us just enough to be able to act off like the ludus. That was, obviously, you've got the upstairs balcony and the downstairs the cells, and you've got a bit of the training area, and then it's green screen. So that whole cliff, obviously, and everything like that was green screen. But yeah, you kind of get an idea of what it was like and things like that. They give you just enough. The in the Vengeance season, the temple. So they built the temple and the courtyard and everything like that, but that was it, and you're just surrounded by green. So you kind of get an idea of what it was like, but they give you just enough to delve into that world. It's not like working on Star Wars, the original, the what was it, episode 1, 2, and 3, the ones with Jar Jar. Yeah, the ones we don't talk about. Where, that was just literally green screens, and it was, you know, it was Ewan talking to a tennis ball and stuff like
Oh
that.
my gosh,
Yeah.
I would think that would be so hard. That just
Yeah,
shows
so
how
that
amazing
kind of
as actors you guys
that
are.
makes it really hard when you're in that world, because you've got to imagine it. But with Spartacus, we had just enough to make it real. Like that dust is in your hair, it's in your nose, it's in your lungs from the ludus, from the arena. They built some of the arena, so you know you had it, and then you could just imagine what the rest was like.
But the snow was horrible.
Oh,
The Romans had it a lot easier than us. A lot easier than us. I remember
They
Viva.
just have to be clean.
Yeah.
Just clean it. They actually paint dirt under your nails. So that was probably my worst thing, is that you wanted to go wash your hands before you had lunch, and you would, and you could never get them clean. Wash, and it would take, like, if I did 1 episode and then I wasn't working for 2 or 3 more episodes, by the time I got back there, I'd just gotten the dirt out from under my nails before they painted back on again. Let alone every day.
We were walking to dinner one night. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We got offset walking to dinner, and we walked past a restaurant, and there's 2 police officers coming out of the restaurant, and Ellen's walking along going, "God, it's so hard to get blood out of you." And I'm looking at this New Zealand police officer, he's looking at me, and I'm like, it's makeup.
And he still has like Egyptian guy liner on.
Yeah, I've still got eyeliner, and I had eyeliner on for 6 months, and they use like a bodybuilding comp tanner with all this stuff in, so. But we took Liam to yoga one day.
I took all the toy stuff, hot yoga.
Don't do it.
I need need to hear this.
We're like, so
God.
then they gave us, like, we didn't have towels or anything like that, so we got white towels and there's like 4 of us guys there and we're sweating
It
orange.
was Dan.
It was like we'd never had a bath in our lives. The towels were just, there was like these little puddles of orange goo.
It's also red, because it's the blood too is sometimes so difficult to get off and get in your hair.
And you're in costume, you're in like makeup every day, and they use an alcohol base as well, so that we don't sweat it off. And so it's on there, like you're permatan for.
But I just remember bringing them in class, and it's like people just slowly move their mats. Because at first, you see all these hunky guys show up in class, so all the girls are like, my mat's gonna go next to him. Class is going, they're like, what the heck? Brown jean stain. Blood. It was so gross. It was so gross. I looked at them, I'm like, guys, I think this is the last time we're doing this.
I bought black bed sheets as well, so it was just easier because I was like, we're all in rental accommodation, and the first week was like white bed sheets, and it looked just like I pooped. Bed sheets. It was like I don't even want to try and explain this. Bed sheets.
Yeah, the hotel housekeeping is like, what? Surely they've learned by now.
Then you mentioned the makeup. How much of a hassle was it when they kept running out of blood on set?
I don't think that was ever.
Oh, they never ran out
They
of
never
blood.
ran out.
There are times when they're filming and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta go out and get another blood, get more blood. Because apparently like End of Vengeance, they ran out of blood. They went through like
changed
6
the blood on us.
runs of
They
blood.
changed. They would
They
change
changed the blood on us at one stage. Remember that it got stickier and
And the problem is, like, let's say you break for lunch for an hour, and you just come off the battlefield. You guys can empathize with this, and it's in your gear. It's in everything. It's in everything. And so you sit down for lunch like this. You get up, rips all your arm hair off. Arm hair.
Boys has some very, very special stories about where you can use your imagination to really use your imagination.
When I was playing that gladiator, when I was the gladiator, actually the first character I played was the gladiator that gets dragged, I think. And that was my first time dealing with like lots of blood. And obviously I had no shirt on or anything like that. And so I've got covered in blood. And we were sitting down in the waiting room, like in our green room, just waiting and hanging out and everything like that. And it was like my turn to go on. And so I'm like, okay. And just ripped half the hair on my underarm. It just, the blood had like literally had joined my like chest and my arm together, and I just gone and ripped all my underarm.
It's like a sugar base as well, so it's
If you're doing reactions, too, if you're getting punched and when we're spitting blood, it's sugar based. You end up with a sugar high. I had the worst headache the day that I was on top of Manu at the courtyard, and we were doing that fighting, and we actually had to do a pickup shot of him punching me, and it was all day just doing fight reactions and everything like that, and I was like spinning like, woo! What are we doing? What are we doing?
But also some of those battlefield scenes, you'd have our department on the side, and they'd be kind of flicking blood into the battle scene, so you'd see kind of blood flying all over the place. And I still remember, this is like one of the few times I actually got angry, and I was running up to attack somebody, All of a sudden, a huge cup of blood just in my face, like, my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my hair is all matted. Looked like Carrie from that horror.
Yours was accidental.
Yeah, no, mine was accidental, but I'm like, who did that? I just looked like this creepy, I looked like I was just burned. It was so disgusting. It was so gross. But just the setup of having to clean the face off, the hair, everything, it was just, you have to be really careful because you don't know what direction a cup of blood's going to be in your face.
You remember when we were on Mount Vesuvius?
That was improv,
Oh God, that was awful.
We were on Mount Vesuvius, and I had waiting to go on. We were about to call action. I had Dustin behind me. Dusty's got his sword literally coated in blood, and he must have been bored shitting.
Oh, you have to be careful on Dusty.
So Dusty's running his swords together and pulling them apart with big strings and really lots of blood coming away from the sword. You can see he's bored, right? And I'm in front of him. We're about to go on, and Dusty goes, it's a big good idea, and puts both swords across my back. I call action, and I go running up, look like the Red Cross. As he did that, take after take after
Just
take.
kept doing it in
Yeah, Dusty, don't. Okay.
There's like a little tent, he just like starts stabbing holes in the tent. Just like a petulant child. Just give him something shiny to play with.
I was beside him on the snow set, and Dusty got bored again. And we're both ready to go.
Oh,
And I'm crouched down. I had a wardrobe that you couldn't really move too well in. There wasn't a lot of it, but it was kind of sticky. And I'm waiting to go, and they call action, and Dusty just goes, and pushes me over. I'm like a turtle, not getting back up to go.
This is during the tape. This is during the tape.
Hannah is pissing himself up. They're all called to action already, so everybody's rolling, and it's like, what?
Very quickly.
Not at the time.
Doing your death scenes.
Death Day cake.
You get a happy death. You get Happy Death Day sung to you. You get a little cake with a black feather in it.
Black cake, right? It was
Dark chocolate forest.
yeah, chocolate forest.
Yeah. Super sweet. So
Well,
there's.
well
There would have been a lot of cakes on those.
Oh, yeah.
It kept everyone honest because you'd walk into the casting office, which was part of we'd had the soundstage and there would be offices upstairs, so you would go around the production office and everything like that. On the casting office door was everybody dies. And they would have pictures of all the old cast members with just red crosses through them. I was like, you want more money? Oh, you die this week. Are you getting a problem on set? You die this week. I didn't die. Who died?
Each show up in a production, like there's a constant influx of new cast on this show, as you guys all know. And it'd just be a riot. You can always tell the wide-eyed, bushy-tailed new cast members because you're like, oh my god, I'm so excited to be here in New Zealand. This is going to be so... Oh. You just see rows of red, bloody X's like across people's faces of just like, you're done. You're done. You're like, oh, that's inevitably where I'm going to end up.
But usually, everyone kind of died. Obviously, everyone dies towards the last episodes and stuff like that. And there's so much to shoot. There's so much to do. Mine was the last shot of, like, the second last day, and we had one take, when Gannicus brings that sword down into my head, we had a prosthetic made, so I actually have, I'll find it somewhere, like a big cut there, and it was Dusty's double, because we had one take at it, there was a blood balloon there, and he had to bring it down perfectly into my head for the groove.
Sorry.
R2? See? So he had one. Jacob had one shot. It was Jake. They used Dusty's double, Jacob Tamori, who's now doubling. He was Tom Hardy's double on Mad Max. So he's now traveling with Tom around the world. Does all his movies now and everything like that. Oh, is he? He's back at home.
We digress, Barry. Talk about your death now.
I died.
I just like your final statement when you did die.
Oh, does anybody know it?
It's not
Be quiet, Putin.
She was great.
I see take my down to Trump. I was so happy to see you get lit on fire though.
I actually wanted to get lit on fire.
It's pretty epic.
You got such an epic death.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh my god.
It was 5 to 6 hours in a makeup chair with 4 makeup artists working flat out. And it was stage by stage, so each take I'd have to have a stage of burn, and I go back, another take, stage of burn, another take. It was about 6 hours. But it was pretty cool. And then they stabbed me to death, and I got to sit back and watch myself being stabbed to death, which was pretty cool. So it was like a composite. They did a scene where the guy stabbed some sponges, and then they would composite me across the top of that. So I was watching on the monitor while they were stabbing me on the set. You're going to die, that's the way to die, right? Watch someone else do it, not there.
Just to make it to the final episode, the season finale, like, because every time you're in a table read, you don't know if you're going to die or not. Because as you know, I mean, you just on a whim, you would be dead that episode. So to make it to the finale, two Germans making it to the finale was really exciting, and you just wanted, as a fighter, you just want your death to be on the battlefield. So I remember being really excited
Yeah, I
about
was
that.
quite
And then
stoked.
add a little romance into that too. A little
Yeah,
dying again,
the full circle.
Yeah, no, I love the way that they concluded it. Really did.
Yeah, because that actually was used to set off Dustin's character to where it end up to his doom.
His inevitable demise.
Yeah.
I told
go,
Suzette.
Way to go, Ellen! You killed Dustin.
He's in the other room, I swear.
And Peter Mensa still has his eye.
Yeah.
It was actually meant to be I chopped his arm off, and then they realised that having his arm CGI'd off was going to cost too much money. So, yeah, the original script when it came out, I was meant to chop his arm off, and they went, it's going to take too much money to have his arm off the whole. So he went, well, why don't we do the eye? And then he hated that 5 seconds after because he was wearing the eye patch and couldn't see
Well,
properly.
it's also dangerous too, because we were shooting on the Mount Vesuvius stuff, and they build atop of the mountain, and it's such uneven ground, it's really rocky, and you can slip and fall. On the concrete.
And
So
we
we
did
were,
it a few times.
yeah, that happened a few times. So can you imagine climbing up there, take after take, day after day, week after week, and only having one eye? So yeah, he was over it, really fast.
He's ready for the Egyptian.
But he built his character up nicely leading up to his death because it's like, okay, I lost my eye, I'm still gonna go fight and take everyone on. And it's like he's even said, I owe you pain.
And he punched me for real then. Because it was one of those ones, and you can see that piece that I wear. He buckles the copper plate. He had actually buckled, and we had to pull it back out because the punch. He was going really easy on me because Peter. I don't know if anyone's met him. The nicest guy in the world, the most lovely, caring, sweet 6'3" giant who plays the most awesome characters. But he had to punch me for real, and he can throw a punch. Especially when you just got to stand there and take it. It's like, I wasn't actually, I go to the ground on that shot, and it's the only time the Egyptian shows a grimace, because when he's getting shot with the arrows, it's a stony face, he was kind of meant to be stony faced, but he literally knocked me on my ass.
Like taking the arrows, how is that set up?
That was a composite shot again. I would go through and just reacted to the arrows. And then we went through and we put prosthetic arrows, so each time I'd get another arrow added and do more reactions and composites.
I love that scene. I call it the Jipinator. He's like the Terminator. I love it. It's like a little GIF. You tried it.
Now we got about 10 minutes left on the panel. What future project, you just mentioned at the very beginning, you're doing a new TV show. What future projects are you guys doing? What of those projects are you bringing your stunt training from Spartacus into?
I don't even know if I've got a little thing coming up on another project.
There's a lot of NDAs.
Well, no, you were also not with those pretty arms.
Oh yeah, that wasn't really much
So
fun.
still, you're standing there like a boss.
No, I mean I just did some stuff work on Ash vs Evil Dead back in New Zealand, which was for Stars. So that was really cool. I got some major bumps and bruises for that. So that was back working with a whole lot of the same stunt team from Spartacus because that was everyone in New Zealand. So basically, so I got to go back for a month and work on that, which was awesome. It was stunt doubling, so you won't actually see me, but if you see a tall blonde girl getting smashed, that's me. But it was really fun. And then I did a little thing recently on like Ride Along 2, which I can't say because now that's up on IMDb.